Hi, hello, my name is Beth, and this is Rad Portraits, a show where I pick someone out of pop culture who I think is a class act, tell you why I think they're a class act, and then I draw them, and I try to do a different thing with it every single time. Thanks to your suggestions, this week we are doing Audrey Hepburn. If you want to see how I did it, stick around. Audrey Hepburn was a British actress, model, dancer, humanitarian, and continues to be an icon of sophistication even now. Born in 1929 to a Dutch baroness and her British husband, the first decade of Audrey's life, first in Brussels and then traveling so much that Hepburn would end up learning to speak Dutch, English, French, Spanish, and Italian, was one spent in great privilege. However, at the outset of World War II, everything changed. The facts about Hepburn's war years were embellished by Hollywood to paint their newest starlet in the best light. For instance, it's said that at 14 years old, Hepburn was a courier for the Dutch resistance, and that she performed ballet at secret productions to raise money against fascism. Whether this is true or not, there's no documented evidence of it. However, it is widely known that both her mother and father were Nazi sympathizers, and did much in the way of supporting the movement prior to the war. As a matter of fact, in 1935, her father abruptly left the family and doubled down on his fascist interests. Hepburn would later call it the most dramatic event of her life, and in 1939, Hepburn's mother moved the family to the Netherlands, believing that it would be safe whilst the war reigned elsewhere. It wasn't. The family suffered greatly throughout the 5 warring years. Audrey's name was changed to Etta von Heemstra to sound less English and protect her, and she poured herself into ballet whilst members of her family were being murdered or deported. After moving to Velp, the Dutch famine of 1944 nearly counted the family amongst the 20,000 people who died of starvation that winter due to the Nazis cutting off food supplies to the Netherlands. Hepburn's family ate tulip bulbs to stay alive, and the extreme famine would have lifelong effects on the young Audrey, including anemia, respiratory problems, edema, lifelong eating disorders, and ironically, her envied slender figure. It would be the result of being malnourished during adolescence. After the war, Audrey's family fortunes were gone, and a lot of them went to work in London. Audrey's dreams of being a prima ballerina were dashed by her weak constitution, and she turned to acting instead. In 5 years, Audrey experienced a steady climb towards stardom, receiving praise on both stage and film before her first starring role in the 1953 film Roman Holiday. The film was a box office success and landed Audrey an Academy Award for Best Actress, a BAFTA Award for Best British Actress in a Leading Role, and a Golden Globe Award for Best Actress in a Motion Picture Drama. Just like that, Audrey became Hollywood's new it girl. She would go on to star in at least 25 films, not the least of which was Breakfast at Tiffany's, a film which cemented her as an icon of the 20th century. Audrey had many loves in her life. At 23 years old, she was engaged to British businessman James Hansen, but broke off the engagement after concluding that their schedules would keep them apart. After a scandalous affair with her married co-star William Holden on the set of Sabrina, Audrey had a quick courtship with the American actor Mel Ferrer before getting hitched. The two stayed together for 14 years and had 1 son. A year after the divorce, she remarried Italian psychiatrist Andrea Dati, and they had a son together. After 13 years and a couple affairs, the marriage ended, and in 1980, Audrey fell in love with Dutch actor Robert Wolders, describing the 9 years they were together as the happiest years of her life. Beyond her love life and filmography, Audrey dedicated much of her life to humanitarian work. Her fluidity in 5 languages made her well-suited as a goodwill ambassador of UNICEF. Her drive to help impoverished children came from her own experience being one during the German occupation. She went on a multitude of field missions to countries such as Ethiopia, Turkey, Honduras, Vietnam, and many more. 4 months before she passed away, she visited Somalia, a country so wrought with famine that Audrey was devastated by it. But with unwavering hope, she continued trying to help, saying, "Taking care of children has nothing to do with politics. I think perhaps with time, instead of there being a politicization of humanitarian aid, there will be a humanitization of politics." And I hope that's true. Audrey Hepburn passed away from a rare form of abdominal cancer in 1993. She was named 3rd amongst the greatest female stars of all time, and placed on the Times list of top 10 British actresses of all time. She was the 5th person to become an EGOT winner, having won an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony, and in her name, UNICEF has raised almost $100 million to date. Audrey Hepburn is immortalized by the people who love her, and the lives she has saved. And now, this little drawing too. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe to Snarled if you haven't already. If you like me, I have a channel called Beth Be Rad. I also have a gaming channel called Fresh Plays, links down in the description below. Leave me a comment telling me who you want me to draw on the next Rad Portraits, and until then, stay classy, YouTube.